Have you ever spoken to a group of people and you know you've lost the route? You know people are here physically, but mentally they're checked out, thinking about their to-do list, their kids, their partners. Or have you ever been in a conversation and you just know you're rambling, but you just can't stop yourself? Or you've looked at someone and thought, damn, this person's a sick communicator. I want to communicate like them. Well, in this video, we're going to cover how you can stop rambling and communicate like a leader. My name is Frederick Afrifo, and I've helped tens of thousands of professionals and entrepreneurs master their ability to communicate under pressure. I work with big organizations and individuals, and I'm going to give you the framework to be able to stop rambling and speak like a leader. The first thing that we need to address is the limiting belief that we need to keep speaking. I strongly believe that less is more. We live in a day and age where attention spans are drastically reducing and people just want to get to the point. Even with content, people have a hook where they say the point first and then they elaborate and then they make the point again. So the first little framework that I want to tell you about is called the PREP framework, and that is called point, reason, evidence, point. The reason why you should try and use the PREP framework as much as possible is because, especially when someone asks you a question, I believe you want to get straight to the point. The common mistake is that people start with explaining. And if you explain, you give the background story, you give the context, and you take long to get to the point, people will probably switch off and be disinterested by the time you get to the point. So someone asks you a question like, why do you think you're right for this role? You answer the question head on. I'm the perfect person for this role because of my experience in my previous role. Let me explain. And then you get into that explanation. So less is more, and it's vitally important that you get straight to the point when you're speaking. Explain later. Following this, I teach something called the CLEAR framework. And this, that's what it says in the tin, is designed to help you speak a lot more clearly. So the C stands for exactly that, clarity. How can you be more clear in the way that you speak? Well, one of the common things that people use when they speak are what we call filler words and non-words. Words like, so these are words that fill the gaps that should be quiet. A great way to train the filler words that you use is to listen to yourself back when speaking, because often you don't even realize how many filler words you're using. It's really important that you chip away at those filler words, because it's not about punishing yourself anytime you say but the overuse of filler words can make an expert sound like a complete novice. And I've seen it working in banks and asking someone to deliver a presentation on a project they've been working on for 6 months. They know the project inside out. But when they are delivering the project, they right, I just did that for 5 seconds and I'm sure it was already quite hard to listen to. So an easy win to be more clear is to reduce your filler words. And a way to reduce your filler words is to just pause. This links to the second part of the framework, which is L, the length of time that you're speaking before you take a break. One of the challenges when people start rambling is that they see presentations, conversations as just one long paragraph that you're delivering, and then they continue talking and they don't stop, exactly like I'm doing now. And after a little bit, they feel like they're rambling and the person next to them doesn't actually remember the first thing that they said and they just keep talking forever and then they feel like they're running out of breath. Take a breather, take a pause. Especially in those high-stakes situations when you're under pressure, deliver short, sharp sentences. Observe any leader that communicates. They do this. Try and identify how long is it on average until I pause, until I stop. This isn't just valuable for you, but it's also valuable for the listener. If you're delivering information that someone hasn't heard before, the person needs you to pause. They want you to pause. They might be taking down physical notes or mental notes. You just dropped a bomb, a gem. It's going to take them a while to process it, to deep it, to understand it. So take your time, pause, allow your message to resonate, and allow the audience to absorb the information that you have given them. Now, the E stands for emphasis. One of the worst traits as a speaker that you can have is being monotone. You can just have one tone throughout. and it kind of just sounds like this, and it doesn't change at all. And you just keep speaking like this for the next 1 hour, and it's going to be very disengaging. And I'm sure we will experience it at some point, whether it's at school, work, place of worship, someone speaking, and they are speaking at the same tone throughout. It's incredibly difficult to keep your audience engaged if you're just speaking in one tone. A simple way to overcome this is to add emphasis on certain words, as I just did for the word emphasis. Also, adding emphasis to the word can dramatically change the meaning of your message. I could say the same sentence and add emphasis in different places, and it will sound like two completely different messages. I could say, whoa, you got the promotion. Okay. Or I could say, whoa, you got the promotion? Okay. Same sentence, but I added the emphasis in two different places, so it's a completely different message. Now, interestingly, this is something that we do naturally when we're calm, when we're speaking to friends and family. But when we're under pressure, we tend to go into a robotic delivery where we forget to add emphasis to certain words. And I see this happen often with content creators as well. You could have a conversation with them, perfectly fine. But once they put the camera on, it's so robotic and they're not showing us who they truly are. The A stands for authority. An easy win when trying to show authority in communication is ending sentences on a low pitch, on a downward pitch, just as I'm doing now. Sometimes under pressure, people do the opposite, which is what I'm doing now, which is ending all their sentences on a high pitch. And if you notice, it kind of sounds like I'm asking a question, even though I'm not. I sound very unsure when I do this continuously. Now, if you do this once in a while in the middle of your sentence, that's fine. But as you approach the end of the sentence, it's important that you end on a downwards pitch. I know what you're thinking about my accent, but this is the way that I've been speaking forever. But the great thing is we can all improve. I've coached individuals that have different accents, that have had upwards talk their whole life. But this is something that can be trained and can be worked on if you are intentional and you are mindful. So the A is for authority. Try and end your sentences on a downwards pitch. And the R is for repetition. Whenever you're delivering a message, it's really important that you try and repeat the key points. Often, whether it's a conversation or a presentation, people are only likely to remember 40% of what you told them. And that happens to us in our everyday lives. You could have said something to a friend, and then the next conversation you say, remember when I told you about that thing? And they'll say, did you? This happens to us all the time. People only remember 40% of what we say, but people are more likely to remember it if you repeat it. So whether you're repeating it at the beginning and at the end during your presentation, or whether you repeat it and then you repeat it straight away, people are a lot more likely to remember it. This is how leaders communicate on a regular basis. And this is how they get across the most important points that they want you to remember. So use this framework. Clear. Be more clear by reducing your filler words. Think about the length of time that you're speaking until you pause. Do you take a break? Add emphasis on certain words to make sure that the point is driven home and we understand the important parts. Make sure you demonstrate your authority by doing a downwards talk at the end of your sentences and repeat your point as often as possible. This is a framework that I've helped tens of thousands of people with. And if you feel like you need some more help and support with your communication in 2026, that's a conversation that I'd be more than happy to have with you. You'll see a link in the bio with a calendar invite. Just type in your information on there and let's see if I can help you or your team in 2026 to speak like leaders. If you find this video valuable, like it, subscribe. Tell me which part of the Clear framework you're going to be working on in the comments. I always read my comments and I'll definitely give you a reply. Until next time, see you soon.